Blue collar jobs are so back, right? As demand for manual workers has risen, more and more of Gen Z and young graduates are driving a resurgence in blue collar work. It's an interesting phenomenon because it has actually been happening in different parts of the world, and there are slightly different reasons depending on where you are in the world. I'll be real with you, I have relatively soft hands, okay? So if you are a blue collar worker, then I do want to hear your input. There are a few different stories at play depending on where you are in the world, but I think it's worth starting off in the US, which is a place where it almost goes without saying that blue collar jobs were a pretty essential part in building modern American society during and after World War II. And they were somewhat respected for their contributions. The metals industry, the steel industry, for example, was a pretty essential part of why World War II ended the way it did. But the rise of labour unions, especially in the wake of the Great Depression, helped to improve wages and working conditions for blue-collar workers. And blue-collar workers in the US especially had stable incomes that could actually achieve middle-class lifestyles. Now, it is also worth mentioning that this wasn't the reality for everyone during this time, and there was a big swathe of society, especially in the US, that couldn't reap the benefits of this so-called golden age of manufacturing, right? After automation and industrialization began to take hold in other countries, parts of the US that had previously relied on manufacturing rapidly saw themselves begin to struggle. And the places that did benefit were those that saw the writing on the wall and switched to providing services. The golden age of manufacturing didn't really last that long in the US, and white-collar jobs rapidly began to become the ones that you needed to do if you wanted to make a living. And with this growth in service jobs came a growth in the demand for university-educated workers. And this manifested in the graduate wage premium, the difference between what university-educated workers earned and what non-university-educated workers earned. This just began to grow throughout the late 70s and into the 80s and just kept growing from then onwards. It became more and more sensible to go to university and get a white-collar job as an easy way to almost guarantee that you would earn more and more. And when I was reading about this phenomenon of Gen Z maybe bucking the trend a bit and choosing blue-collar work instead, I kind of assumed at first that it'd be more to do with this premium shrinking, the benefit of going to university shrinking, and the amount of money that you would earn compared to someone who didn't go to university shrinking. That's only part of the story, because despite the fact that there's still an income benefit from going to university and getting a white-collar job, it's vastly outweighed by the debt aspect of it. What has really collapsed is the college wealth premium, which is the number when you include debt. The thing that has really outpaced the benefit of going to university is the cost. I've got a little graph for you, which shows you how student loan debt has grown over the past couple of decades compared to general inflation, compared to credit card debt, to mortgages and auto loans. Student loan costs have grown by 5.3 times since 2003 in the US. This is compared to 66% inflation in that same time period. Shit's wild. Despite the fact that university workers still earn a fair bit more than those who didn't go to university, the benefit of that premium has been rapidly crushed by the incredible growth in student loan costs in the US. Smudge says, how did this happen? Since the 70s, basically, credit in the US has become incredibly readily available, and student loan costs have not really been capped in the same way that they have in certain other countries, which has simply just pushed universities to charge the maximum possible, with the knowledge that the 17-year-old kid that's applying to go there is going to be able to access tons and tons of debt. There was a really good line in an article by the St. Louis Federal Reserve, I think. College boosts your income while colleges extract your wealth. And naturally, this has pushed people to get more creative. But I thought that, just looking at the US wasn't necessarily complete. In the UK, we've had a similar situation. Up until just a few decades ago, university was actually completely free. Today, university costs significantly more than zero, but they are significantly less than the US. It's about $12,000 US, I guess, per year. In the UK, if you don't have a job, you don't have to pay back any of your student loans. They just get paused. And then if you earn below a certain threshold, you don't have to pay anything back. But British graduates are the most likely ones to be overqualified. Over 1 in 3 employees are currently overqualified, meaning that they have a qualification that they just didn't need in order to do the job that they currently do. A decent chunk of those people will naturally be working in blue-collar work, partially because they simply can't get the job that they thought they'd get or that they'd like to get after having completed university. I kind of assumed that it was largely to do with the fact that just many, many more people now go to university in the UK, because despite the increase in costs, there's also been a big push to encourage people in the UK to go to university, and we have a super high participation rate. But that's only a little bit of the story, because as the numbers of people who go to university has increased, the growth in salaries has really not followed that trend, especially for jobs that require a higher level of qualification. More and more trainee middle-class jobs are getting closer and closer to minimum wage. So in 2014, a lab technician would have earned on average 22% above the minimum wage. By 2024, it's now 1% above the minimum wage. This is for someone with an advanced science degree who's working in a literal scientific lab in the UK. A minimum wage job in a lab might be less appealing than blue-collar work, which presumably can offer a better salary from day one. But there is also, some positive stuff in this story, I feel, because it's also worth noting like how much blue-collar work has actually changed over the years. And today, it's not like the only options are being in an office or working in a smoggy, smoky factory. There are a whole swathe of blue-collar jobs that have been created thanks to technology that don't quite neatly fit in the split between white-collar and blue-collar work. Sometimes called new-collar jobs have started to emerge, which are blending manual labor with more advanced technical skills and give people the ability to use their hands, but also use their brains more actively. These jobs in sectors like renewable energy or in robotics and things like that do a really good job of blending the aspects of blue collar work that people often miss with the aspects of white collar work that people can often miss. I think it achieves what a lot of white collar jobs can fail to do, which is to make your output feel tangible without sacrificing necessarily mental stimulation. Because if there's one issue that a number of white collar jobs have off rip, is that they can often feel like they have zero impact. Many people feel like they have a bullshit job, which is a job that they feel could disappear overnight with no impact on society. University graduates who expected to stroll into a good career and have seen the premium that they expected from having that degree shrink have decided to get a bit more creative. But yeah, I think the good thing about these new jobs and about blue collar work in general is that it can really activate your brain and your body in a way that white collar jobs sometimes doesn't. For some people, making PowerPoint slides and writing reports doesn't always make them feel like they're having a tangible, measurable impact on the world and can be a little bit depressing. But I do think that in large part, the subculture, the movement against traditional white collar work and towards blue collar work is in many ways a manifestation of this feeling, along with the knowledge that white collar workers are becoming increasingly susceptible to layoffs and that those jobs aren't inherently any more stable than anybody else's job. And I would definitely expect these broad kinds of blue-collar jobs to get more and more popular, which I think is broadly a positive thing that people are considering alternative options. But it is also worth saying that with this increase in popularity for blue-collar jobs comes some very real fears about the future of work. Because in this particular survey by Credit Karma, there were some common fears that came up and some common benefits. The top factor that influenced trade workers to pursue a trade career was work-life balance, followed by job security and job availability, because some people do like to leave work at work and have their home life be at home. In the same survey, the emergence of AI was raised as a big fear, and something like 66% of Americans believed that trade professionals had more job security than corporate professionals, a very reasonable fear. And despite all of this, I think there is still a degree of stigma, probably to do with the fact that so many countries have gone through the path of starting out as agricultural countries and then manufacturing and then mainly services. But people are actually starting to consider their options and they're starting to actually appreciate the utility of a wide range of different kinds of work, which I am very happy to see.